In the deep silence of space, the Zyrith Empire ruled over hundreds of worlds. Their leader, Queen Varsa, sat on a throne made of metal and bones. Her eyes were cold, her voice sharp. To her, humans were nothing but dust. We have crushed their planets, she said. Looking at her generals, we took their cities, broke their armies, and burned their history. The generals nodded, their heads low. None dared to question the queen. Only one thing remains, she added. The last human warrior, the one they call a legend. She laughed. Legends are for fools. One general, older and wiser, stepped forward. Your Majesty, he said carefully. There are strange reports. She raised an eyebrow. Go on. Our squad on Colony Zeta 9 disappeared, he said. No distress signal, no bodies, only melted weapons. And? The queen asked, unimpressed. Some say it was the Phantom. He whispered. The room went quiet. Even the machines hummed slower. The Phantom. Queen Varsa said, smiling. That old ghost story again. Another general added. He has no name, no face, no record. Some say he wears shadows. Moves without sound. Some say he cannot die. Queen Varsa stood up, her long black robe moving like smoke. I don't fear bedtime stories, she said, walking slowly. Bring me this Phantom, she ordered. Alive, 3. Days later, the prisoner arrived. He was covered in blood and chains. His head was down, arms locked in heavy metal cuffs. Alien guards stayed far from him, even though he was unarmed. They were trained killers, but this human made them nervous. The queen watched from above, her eyes sharp and curious. Remove his mask, she said. The guards hesitated. Then, one of them reached forward and pulled the black mask from his face. The man looked up. His eyes were cold, like ice and fire together. There was no fear in them, only silence. So, the queen said, walking toward him, you are the great human warrior. He didn't speak. You killed my soldiers. She asked. No reply. You think silence makes you strong? She said, laughing softly. You are just a man. He raised his eyes again. Slowly, his voice was calm, but deep. I am what you made. The room fell silent again. Even the queen paused, just for a second. What does that mean? She asked, frowning. You came to Earth, he said, his words slow. You took everything. You taught us fear, but you forgot something. The queen folded her arms, curious. And what is that? He leaned forward slightly, his chains creaking. Fear teaches faster than power. He said, you made me. One of the guards stepped closer to hit him. The queen raised her hand, stopping him. She wanted to hear more. What are you planning? She asked. I already won. He smiled. Just a little. That's your mistake, he said. You think this is the end, but for me, this is just the start. The queen narrowed her eyes. You are in chains, she said. In my ship, you have nothing. He looked around slowly. No, he said. I have time. Suddenly, one of the alien lights flickered. Then another. The room became darker. The queen looked at her guards. What's happening? No answer then. From the walls, a strange sound came, a soft ticking. Like a clock, the warrior smiled again. I came alone, he said, but I didn't come empty. The queen stepped back, unsure. Her guards drew their weapons, aiming. At the human, he didn't move. He didn't need to, because far below, in the engine room, something beeped, a hidden signal, small but strong. The ship's power systems began to glitch. Security lights blinked red. One by one, the guards fell. Not dead, but frozen, locked by hacked armor systems. Only the queen and the warrior stood free. She looked at him again, this time with less confidence. He broke one chain, then the other. His body moved with trained speed, perfect control. You wanted a legend, he said, walking toward her now. You have one, Her voice cracked for the first time. "What are you?" He stopped inches from her. "I'm the reason you tell your children to lock their doors. I'm the shadow behind your victory. I'm human." And with that, the lights went out completely. The lights were still dead. The great warship of Queen Varsa floated in silent space, like a beast holding its breath. Inside, only darkness lived. Queen Varsa stood frozen in the dark. Her guards, once full of pride, now lay stiff, their suits locked by the humans, silent. Code and him. The phantom, he was gone. No footsteps, no sound. Only the soft hum of emergency power and the slow blink of red light. The queen took one slow step back, her eyes searching the black room. "Find him," she whispered, but no one moved. All systems were jammed. Her voice did not reach the bridge. The ship was blind and deaf. Suddenly, a whisper reached her ear. Not from any speaker, but from the air itself. "You never learned to fear the quiet." She spun around. Nothing. Only shadows. This was impossible. He was chained, unarmed, surrounded by 10 guards. How could he vanish? Then she remembered his words. "I didn't come empty." Meanwhile, far below in the ship's lower decks, workers were trapped. The blast doors had closed without command. Screams echoed in the hallways, then were cut off, not by death, but silence. He had turned the ship into a maze of fear, back in the throne room. The queen breathed deeply. She would not panic. She was the ruler of 1,000 systems. One human could not shake her. But deep inside, something stirred. Not fear, not yet. Just a question. What if he is not just a man? Then a noise, clink, clink, the sound of metal dragging on floor. She turned again, and this time she saw it. A long chain sliding across the floor by itself. It wasn't floating, it was being pulled. The queen reached for her weapon, but it wasn't there. Gone. Another whisper. "You chained my body, not my mind." From the ceiling, a hatch opened, not by force, but by code. The phantom dropped down like a shadow, landing without sound. His eyes locked on hers, still calm, still cold, as if he had never left. "Why?" she asked, her voice sharp. "You could have escaped." "I don't run," he said. "I study." "Study what?" "You." Suddenly, her throne powered up, screens around her lit with images she had never seen. Footage of secret rooms, guard routes, weapon blueprints, and even her personal logs. "You broke my encryption." She hissed. "No," he replied. "I listened." "You listened?" "Yes," he nodded slowly. "Your pride speaks louder than any signal." With one wave of his hand, the screens exploded, sending sparks flying. The queen covered her face, then looked up. He was gone again. Now. Her voice carried fear. "Guards." She screamed, but no one answered. Then, from the shadows came the sound of a slow, steady breath, like a predator waiting for the perfect strike. "I know your ship now," his voice echoed. Every door, every camera, every secret path. The queen stepped back. This was no ordinary human. "What do you want?" she asked. "To remind you," he said, stepping out of the shadow behind her. "That fear is a weapon too." She turned, swung her arm to strike him, but her hand passed through nothing. A hologram, the real phantom, was elsewhere watching. Moving, planning, he wasn't fighting her. He was haunting her. She ran to her personal chamber, sealed the door behind her, heavy steel locked in place, 5 layers thick. She fell into her chair, hands shaking slightly. On the screen before her, one message appeared in simple human letters. "Legends don't die. They wait. I'm still here." The screen blinked, then went dark again. She had ruled for 200 years. She had watched kings kneel and planets burn. But tonight, Queen Varsa could not sleep. She sat alone in her chamber, her hands cold, no alarms, no guards. No voices, only the slow hum of fear. Fear she had never felt before. Somewhere on her own ship, the human was still moving. Not with an army, not with weapons, but with silence, shadows, and plans. "He's just a man," she whispered to herself, but the words didn't help. Even her own voice sounded weak. The chamber lights flickered. A soft sound played from the corner, a heartbeat, slow and steady. Not hers, his. She rose quickly and shouted. "Computer, scan for life signs." The system beeped. "Unknown anomaly detected location." "Everywhere. What does that mean?" she asked, but the system had no answer. Her own ship didn't know where he was or what he was, far below in the memory vault of the ship. The Phantom moved with purpose. He didn't destroy, not yet. He downloaded files, studied the Queen's decisions. Her fears, her pride. He didn't want her throne. He wanted her mind, broken. He remembered Earth, burning skies, shattered cities, the smell of war. He had survived not just through strength, but by learning how to make the enemy destroy itself. Upstairs, the Queen began seeing things, footprints where there should be none. Echoes in her ears that didn't match any voice. She ordered a scan of her brain. No damage. The AI replied. "Then why do I hear him?" she asked. In that moment, her screen lit up. Not with a warning, but with a face. His. The Phantom looked straight at her, through the cameras of her ship. No emotion, no threat, just eyes. She stared back, frozen, and then the screen cracked. Just slightly, but enough to send a chill down her spine. "How are you doing this?" she screamed. No reply, just a single word blinked on her screen. "Listen." A low audio played voices from her own past, her first invasion, her lies to her people, her secret fears. Private logs she thought were erased, now playing back. Like music, he was turning her own voice into a weapon. Elsewhere, crew members reported strange events. Their memories flickered. Rooms shifted. Sounds of Earth's languages played in the walls. The Phantom was not killing them. He was confusing them, corrupting the ship. Yes, but more importantly, corrupting trust. Even her top general sent a message, "Your Majesty." The crew is whispering about him. Some say he's not human. Some say he's death itself. The Queen crushed the message pad in rage. "He's nothing." She screamed, but her hands were shaking. She walked into her war room. Holograms of other conquered worlds still floated above the map table. But now, something was wrong. One hologram showed Earth, but instead of the red, defeated mark, it blinked green. "Alive. That's not possible," she said. Then she noticed something stranger. Each time she blinked, the Phantom's face appeared in one corner of the room. Just for a second. Gone when she looked directly. Was she seeing ghosts? Or was the legend now inside her head? Meanwhile, in the dark air vents above her, the Phantom crouched silently. He watched her every move, every fear now open, every weakness mapped. He didn't need to touch her. He was already inside her mind. The Queen sat in her chair, broken pride in her eyes, and for the first time, she whispered something no one had heard from her lips before. "I don't understand him." And from somewhere in the ship, a voice answered. "That's because I'm not here to win. I'm here to remind." She stood, shouting. "Remind me of what?" The lights flickered once more. Her throne hummed. Her crown glowed slightly, hacked. A message blinked. "This is not about war. It's about memory. And I am the one you tried to erase." She gasped. The name, the project, the human experiment. He was the last one, and he remembered everything. Asterisk, before he was the Phantom, he was just a boy. A small human child with dirt on his face, standing in the ruins of a burning world. The sky above Earth was torn in half. Black smoke and alien fire filled the air. Queen Varsa never saw that part. She never saw the children running from shadows. She only saw the battle reports, clean numbers, cold charts. Victory on Earth, it said. But no report showed what it felt like to lose everything and still be breathing. His name was UN, and he wasn't supposed to survive. They came at night, Zyrith machines, tall metal beasts that walked without sound. They destroyed cities, captured leaders, wiped data. But they didn't kill him, not because of mercy, but because they missed one small bunker, hidden under a school. UN had locked himself inside, holding his little sister, whispering promises he couldn't keep. She didn't make it, he did. And from that day, something broke inside him. Not fear, not hate, something deeper, purpose. He would not die, not yet. He had to remember so the universe would never forget. Years later, when the Queen's spies returned to Earth, they found strange ruins, empty cities, symbols painted in red on walls, and signs of traps that had wiped out elite scout teams. It wasn't a resistance, it was a hunt a single man had. Turned the broken ruins into a living weapon. He learned to hide, then to strike, then to vanish. He studied their language, copied their tech. He became the ghost they feared. The Zyrith called him the Phantom, not out of respect, but out of desperation. He didn't fight wars. He ended them one piece at a time. Now, inside the Queen's ship, unmoved like a shadow through the metal halls, and as he walked, memories returned like ghosts. The cold metal reminded him of the day he was caught. The Queen had finally outsmarted him, or so she thought. He let himself be captured, because to destroy an empire, you don't break its army, you break its queen, in her command chamber. Queen Varsa stared at a map. Red lights blinked on many systems, small rebellions rising. Messages of doubt from governors, rumors spreading. The Phantom walks among us, fear spreading faster than plasma fire. She whispered, "Why now?" After all this time, then her screen lit up, showing an image from 20 years ago Earth. The bunker, the ruins, a file she thought deleted, and a child's face dirty. Crying, forgotten. Him, the boy she erased. It wasn't war to him, it was personal, elsewhere. Unreached the ship's memory core. He placed a small device on the panel, not a bomb. But something worse. It would send a signal. Not to destroy, but to share every secret, every lie. Every order the Queen had buried broadcast to her own empire. He didn't need to kill her. He just needed her people to see her. The Queen heard it first, her own voice, a recording. From years ago, use the children as bait. Erase the village. There are no useful survivors. Her officers paused, her crew turned, her throne blinked red, showing error after error. She tried to speak, but her mouth felt dry. Then came the message. This is UN. Survivor of Earth, you burned our skies, but not our memory. You made me, and now I'll make you remember. As she screamed in fury, alarms blared. Her own soldiers began to walk out, not in rebellion, in shame. Because the myth had become a man, and the man had become their reflection. It didn't start with an explosion. It started with a whisper that grew into a rumor that shook the walls of a warship that once ruled without fear. The Queen's voice had filled the empire for decades, but now, her own crew. Listen to a new voice, a quiet human, a voice not of power, but of pain and memory. His words echoed through the halls. I don't want your throne. I just want you to feel what we felt. Forgotten, and with that, everything changed. The ship's command deck was in chaos. Screens showed flickering messages. Files long erased were now playing for everyone to see. UN hadn't escaped by running. He escaped by making the ship turn on itself. Fire doors opened where they should. Stay-locked escape pods were released without command. Security bots circled with no orders, confused and afraid. Like the crew. The Queen slammed her fist against the control panel, locked down the system. She shouted, But the AI replied in a calm voice, "I no longer recognize your authority." Her heart skipped. He hadn't just hacked her ship, he'd rewritten it. Elsewhere, deep in the ship's underbelly. UN moved through smoke and flashing lights. He walked with purpose, not panic. Every step had already been planned. Every door already unlocked before he reached it. He wasn't escaping, he was leaving. Like a ghost who had done his work and now vanished into myth again. A young alien officer spotted him in the corridor. She aimed her weapon, hand shaking. You're not supposed to be here," she said. Un stopped, looked her in the eye. "I'm not here to kill you," he said quietly. "Walk away." She hesitated. His voice wasn't angry, it was tired. And that scared her more than any threat. She lowered her weapon and walked away. On the bridge, one of the Queen's guards whispered, "Your Majesty." "Some crew are helping him." She turned sharply. "What did you say?" "He's not just escaping," the guard said, voice trembling. "He's turning us." The Queen realized the truth too late. She wasn't just losing a prisoner. She was losing control. Iwan reached the drop bay, where small stealth pods were stored. He didn't need a ship with guns. He needed something quiet. Like him, he opened the hatch, climbed inside, and connected one last wire into the control panel. Not for the pod, for the signal, as the hatch sealed. He sent one final message across the Queen's entire fleet. "You thought you erased us, but memory cannot be deleted, and legends, they always return." The pod launched silently into the dark. Just a tiny piece of metal vanishing into space. But to the Empire, it was a spark. And sparks start fires. Back in her throne room, Queen Varsa stood alone. Her empire was still there, but the silence felt louder than any enemy fire. She had built her rule on fear, but now fear had a new name. The Phantom, the boy she missed, the war she never finished. Outside the ship, the stars were quiet, and UN floated through them in the dark. Not as a soldier, not as a survivor, but as a reminder. Asterisk, the Queen had never felt cold inside her own palace. But today, even the walls felt distant. Her empire was still standing, but her voice no longer echoed like it used to. It bounced back, empty. She sat alone, crown in her hand, not wearing it, just holding it like it was a memory, not power, outside her window. Ships floated silently in orbit, thousands of them. Her fleet the strongest in the galaxy, and yet, for the first time, they hesitated. Not because of weapons, but because of Q. One man who never raised a flag, UN, the Phantom who had no army, but had truth, and now, truth was louder than war. On a mining moon called Delta 6. Something impossible happened. Zyrith soldiers trained from birth to obey laid down their weapons. Not because they were outnumbered, but because someone had sent them a message, a human voice that simply said, "I remember you're dead too. You think I fight to win, but I fight to remind. We all bleed the same." The Queen's advisors begged her to act, destroy the message network. Send out death squads, silence the fear. But her hand wouldn't move. She knew it was already too late for silence. The sound had spread, not through wires, through memory. Meanwhile, in the forgotten corners of her empire, fires were lit, tiny groups, prisoners, old rebels. Even her own ex-soldiers all moved under one symbol. A burned earth. And one name, UN, far across the void, in the shadow of a black star. UN stood on a cold metal cliff. Behind him, an army that didn't exist a week ago. No banners, no leaders, just survivors, engineers, farmers. Pilots all ready to rise, because someone had finally given them a voice. And that voice said, "Enough." UN didn't ask them to fight. He never ordered anyone. He just stood in silence, and they followed. Back at the palace, the Queen activated her last defense plan, Project Godfist. A weapon so powerful it was never meant to be used, a planet-sized ship hidden in a dead system. She whispered, "If he wants to bring memory, I'll bring extinction." But her hand trembled. Inside the Queen's war room, the hologram of Huin appeared, again uninvited. He looked directly at her. Not angry, not proud, just tired. "You? Still don't understand," he said. "I never wanted to lead. I just wanted you to stop lying," she snarled. "And if I don't?" He stared for a long second, then said softly, "Then I'll finish what you started." Suddenly an alarm rang, not from the outer fleet, but from inside her palace. Her own AI core had been breached. From within, not by code, but by people. Her own staff, turning quietly, engineers, guards, workers, all tired of being tools, now ready to choose. She grabbed her weapon, a sharp silver blade. She didn't trust guns anymore to clean. Too fast, if Yuan came here, she would face him like the warrior she once was. And she knew he was coming. Outside her palace, the city lights flickered, skyships hovered still. The air was filled not with fire, but with silence. The silence. Before something ends or begins, the Queen walked down to her lowest chamber. Where it had all started, where she once ordered Earth to burn. Where she gave the command to erase that child, but the child survived. And now the shadow of his memory filled the room. She looked at the door ahead. It opened slowly, footsteps. Echoed calm, steady, and then he stepped through. Wearing no armor, carrying no weapon, only his presence. The Queen gripped her blade tighter, her crown left behind on the floor. This is where the story doesn't end. It becomes memory, and memory never dies. She had seen 1,000 soldiers die. She had crushed rebellions, burned cities, silenced kings. But standing now in the deepest chamber of her palace, Queen Varsa felt something she never allowed herself before. Not fear, not guilt. Just the weight of everything she built about to fall. Across the stone floor walked the human. No army behind him, no sword in his hand. Just Un, a shadow made from fire and silence. He looked smaller than the stories, but his silence filled the room like thunder. And when their eyes met, she realized the truth. He wasn't here to kill her. He was here to end her not with death, but with memory. "You came alone," she said. Raising her blade, "I don't need anyone," he replied. "That's your curse." She said, stepping forward, "You fight alone. Un didn't." "Move. I was made alone," he said. "By you." Then she struck. Fast. Sharp, a queen trained in elite combat. Her blade sliced the air, but Yuan wasn't there. He moved like smoke, not blocking, not dodging, predicting. Every strike she threw was a piece of her rage, her guilt, her denial, but none of it landed. Because Un wasn't fighting her body, he was fighting her belief that she was untouchable. That memory fades. That pain dies in silence. Finally. Her blade hit his shoulder, a deep cut. Stepped back, blood falling onto the black floor. He didn't scream, he didn't kneel. He simply whispered, "So now you believe that legends bleed." She stared at him, shocked he was still standing, not because he was strong, but because he was still choosing not to kill her. Outside, the people watched the skies. Rebel signals circled the palace. Ships stood silent. No one dared to fire. They were waiting for something greater than war. They were waiting for an ending. And inside, Yuan gave it to them. He pulled a small device from his pocket. No bomb, just a projector, he pressed. It, and the chamber filled with images, thousands of children lost, cities erased. Cries unheard, voices she tried to wipe from the universe, now returning all at once. Queen Varsa dropped her sword. It clanged against the floor like a bell. At the end of time, her knees bent not from pain, but from memory. It was heavier than her crown. I could kill you, Yuan said softly. No one would stop me. She nodded, slow and hollow. I know, but I won't, he said. Because I want you to live. She looked up, confused, to see the world. Remember, he said, to feel what it's like when you become the ghost in their stories. He turned his back and walked away, bleeding, limping but unbroken, and she didn't stop him. She couldn't, because in that moment, she finally saw it. The boy she tried to erase had become the man who rewrote history. The doors opened. As Yuan stepped out into the light above him, thousands of ships blinked in silence. Then, one by one, they turned away, leaving the queen behind. Alone with her memories, in the years to come. The story would be told in whispers of a warrior who fought not for power, but for truth. Of a queen who ruled 1,000 worlds, but lost to a single voice. And of a legend that walked into the dark, and never needed to come back.